Scotland's High Court will begin hearing an appeal against the conviction of the only person found guilty of the 1988 Lockerbie aircraft bombing. In 2001, Libyan intelligence officer Abdelbasset al-Megrahi was jailed for life for the murder of 270 people when Pan Am Flight 103 was blown up over the Scottish town. Megrahi, who died in 2012, denied all involvement. An independent Scottish review body ruled in March that his family could launch an appeal after concluding there might have been a miscarriage of justice. It's a sentiment that's shared by campaigner Jim Swire, who's the father of one of the victims.
Well, after 31 years of trying to get to the truth, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to be expecting too much from anything, would it? What I'm hoping for is that the lawyers involved will decide that the conviction of this man should be set aside or overturned, which immediately leaves you asking the question, well, who was it who did this if it wasn't this man? And also the existence of the conviction of this man allows the authorities in Britain and America to deny us our attempts to get to the real truth, because they always just have to say, oh, well, we've had a trial, we found one man guilty, that's the best we can do, goodbye. So if that conviction's overturned, it would leave the field open to that question. If he didn't do it, who did?
Well, joining me now from Glasgow is Anna Anwar, the lawyer representing al-Megrahi's family. Thank you very much for speaking to us. So just explain the reasons for the appeal. It's now 32 years since the bombing. Why this third appeal? Why now?
Well, as Dr. Jim Swire, one of the individuals who supported the appeal way back in 2014, said, the overturning of the verdict would mean for both the Megrahi family as well as many of the British victims' families who are supporting the appeal, that it would vindicate their belief that the governments of the United States and the United Kingdom had lived a monumental lie for 31 years, imprisoning a man that they knew to be innocent and punishing the Libyan people for a crime they did not commit. It has long been claimed that the Lockerbie bombing was carried out as a direct result of Iran ordering a revenge attack and instructing a Syrian-based Palestinian group in retaliation for the US Navy blowing up an Iranian airline out of the sky some 6 months earlier, killing 290 people. People have asked the question, why 31 years later? What is the point? Well, there should never be a time limit on justice, and Dr. Jim Swire is quite right. If the conviction is overturned, then there are real questions to be asked. But this has been a long journey, not just for the Megrahi family, but for many of the victims' families. And I hope that the truth will start to emerge.
Of course, the UK government will be putting across their side of the case as well. Just tell us, for the family that you represent, what would overturning this mean for them?
Well, their father, Abdelbasset al-Megrahi, went to his grave branded a mass murderer, responsible for the worst terrorist atrocity on UK soil. 270 people from 21 different countries died in that attack, and they still live with the consequences of that. But also the family themselves, Megrahi's family, say that the 271st victim was Abdelbasset Megrahi. He was sentenced to 27 years imprisonment. He was then pressurized to drop his appeal because he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he died, a few years later after having served multiple years in prison in Scotland, was returned back to Libya. But in his dying breath, he said he wanted justice. He wanted his name to be cleared. He wanted the name of his family to be cleared, but he also wanted the name of the Libyan people to be cleared. And I think that's an important issue when we say as lawyers that there should never be a time limit on justice.
Thank you very much for speaking it to us, Anna Anwar, the lawyer representing al-Megrahi's family, as the Scotland High Court begin hearing the appeal against his conviction today.